Yes, greetings people, we're back in the library for this one. So, let's start off this video by doing something that you should never ever do. Try and sell something. I have merch now. Woo! Got one saying my outro slogan, I apologize for nothing, and one that says Spoon Platoon, which features the Prussian Iron Cross, which apparently Teespring doesn't like because they have a policy against military slogans, which is kind of gay, so thank you to those in the community tab that recommended TeePublic. They were incredibly easy to set up. So we've got t-shirts, hoodies, tank tops, long sleeves, stickers, mugs, magnets, wall art, even on pillows, and the website has them on sale for the next 2 days, so check it out, go nuts. So, consider this a sort of fan request who asked me to take a look at Drinker's old video on what is woke, and I felt the need to dunk on it some more. The woke thing, not his video, by the way. Especially in the wake of the Marvel's face-planting the already crippled franchise into a smoking grave, considering the demographic in question that was responsible for that. The laughably piss-poor box office blunder was as predictable as the tides. But anyway, I'd like to add even more nuance to his perspective and go into some details about not only how and why it doesn't work, but also what about it makes it even worse than you think. Now, to give Drinker his credit, he does a really good summation of what it is from the current political lines, especially the left one, as they claim it's raising awareness of the systemic injustices, equality, all of that bollocks. Very interesting phrase, that one, isn't it? How many charities have you heard use that very same phrase? Now, in real speak, that means we're here to do fuck all. That's all that means, and you know this. This is not some grand revelation. It's just nice to hear someone cut through the BS once in a while, or couple of times a day, seeing as we all live in a fantasy land, apparently. So let's go a little bit deeper, because here's the thing with this politically incoherent imbecility. It's not popular with humans at scale, hence how the word woke became a disparaging label. It's a top-down enforcement, operates very much the same way that democracy does, actually, giving that feeling of mattering, but really it's advantageous only to the higher-ups coordinating the push, academia, ESG types. Again, much like democracy. Now, the Twitter-brain spastics who get their knackers in a twist have no idea where this is ultimately going to go, because the end destination is not something that they can conceive of. It's not their MO. Nor do they need to know, because they're just useful idiots, foot soldiers, pawns, if you will. No, their MO is pretty much the battle skirmishes and scoring the wins. But why that is objectively good, they could never tell you, because it's the utopianism of the insane. Now, the relationship between the upper and lower echelons in this fixture is no different than that of, say, a drug dealer and the user. The one accrues wealth and power, and the other one just gets high and ruins themselves. And as far as the systemic injustices go, give me a freaking break, cry me a damn river. This is bound to backfire, and has, horribly so, with delightfully amusing consequences because, and say it with me here folks, we run on pattern recognition. And here is where the so-called systemic injustices meets that delightful friend of the right, reality. Very much the enemy of leftism, as Curtis Yarvin has pointed out, which again is why leftism appears more and more insane the longer the journey continues, and hence why we laugh so much. It all begins to unravel and gets really, really stupid because the so-called systemic injustices are not based on anything objectively contentious in the real world. It's only in their rhetoric, which means when they try to remedy an ill that doesn't actually exist, you're just chucking these lethal doses of destructive stupid on fictitious problems, and now you look like an unhinged lunatic. And in case you're asking yourself, this process sounds eerily familiar. Yeah, it's how government bureaucracy operates, and isn't that just a terrifying realization? And this is how you end up with this self-defeating loop. We believe in systemic oppression, straight Euro variety, rainbow morons, women, feminism, blah blah blah. We need more representation, diversity, etc., etc. We all know how the shtick goes by now. The assumption is the oppressor is just based on the genetic and nothing else, which is obviously untrue and laughably reductionist, so feel free to point and laugh, ha ha. Again, our best friend reality rears its gloriously crowned mug and does some very amusing things in the wake of every one of the repeated and compounding failures, show the former not to be the case. And it doesn't take a genius to recognize and know the external characteristics of a particular demographic alone doesn't instantly grant them the label of superior. However, and this is the kicker, if you keep pushing the other demographics into the limelight for no other reason other than just those characteristics, and those projects tank and fail, crash and burn over and over again, pattern recognition is going to tell you anything associated with that demographic is of inferior quality, and conversely assume, correctly mind you, that those that don't have these traits are of superior quality. Now, if we look at the classic line, get woke, go broke, that is obviously not true. Mammals don't do anything without purpose, and if you had half a functioning noggin and see company after company following suit, you would have to conclude there must be something in it for the ones who do choose that same path, and what class, association, group, or oligarchical faction is financially bankrolling all of this, and why. Wonder what group I could possibly be inferring to. Moving on, I think Razorfist's line of go broke, get woke, fucking croak is far more accurate. The traditional relationship of producer to consumer has been severed, perverted by whatever this hellish concoction is that we're stewing in right now. As why I said before, entertainment has been hijacked. Instead of making products for the consumer, they now make propaganda at them. Hence why the stories like any semblance of life or charm and smacks of the preaching bland variety one would only get out of something designed by a corporate committee. And here is what makes this gimmick hilarious, but also rather pernicious, and all those presumptions come crashing down in a hail of glorious dumpster fires. Because what this horrendous ideological push does is it tokenizes anything that isn't of the standard Euro variety into a form of currency. Now, the Hollywood puppets don't actually care about any of this. No, it's as simple as, how will I look in the eyes of others for doing this? Not to mention these external characteristics and let's just say, lifestyle choices are no more than traits for a point system. It's like a committee member walked into a shop called Diversity Inc. and went, oh my god, look at all of this diversity. I want a black one and a Latina. Oh, and I need a queer. Oh, and it's trans as well. I get bonus points for that. Oh my god, I'm going to have such a high ESG score for all of this. It's basically that. And before anyone says, Spoon, you're a little too good at that. I know, and you lot aren't the first ones to say that, and you probably won't be the last. Unless I stop doing the impression, of course, but this is the gimmick of the hellish concoction. So is it any wonder then why the quality of the product has deteriorated and suffered, seeing as talent was never the criteria to begin with? Whereas now, if you see nothing but European, or frankly anything homogenous for that matter, written all over it, you automatically assume not only less of the virus, but you assume quality is a metric due to the demographic. Genius! Not only that, but this effort at crappy propaganda also harms the token props, because not only are their reputations being tarnished and soured for being associated with said propaganda disguised as badly made art, but you also limit them to this narrow scope of playable roles, and as a consequence you stifle their creativity, their potential acting talents, and future prospects. There was a Pakistani-American actor, Kumail Nanjiani, who said that he wants to play more roles as the bad guy, because some of the deepest and most intriguing cinematic figures are often the villains. But he was told he's dreaming if he thinks Hollywood is somehow going to cast a minority as the bad guy now. So once again, anything these subversive bellends try and push results in making things worse. Who could have possibly seen that one coming? Oh, by the way, one last thing, just to get in a cheeky dig at the drinker. He also does mention the ideas of the over-emotional damsel in distress, empty-headed bimbos, and the over-sexualized fantasy figures, and that those ideas are now dated and unrealistic. Really, drinker? I beg to differ, my friend. The rampant rise of grotesque levels of sexual degeneracy thanks to the likes of OnlyFans, headlines like these, which still makes me laugh, and given that the damsel in distress angle, regardless of exaggeration, is not one based on politics or time, I would have to disagree. They aren't dated or unrealistic, that's just the nature of women. Cheers for watching, and once again, I apologize for nothing.